Hey everyone, welcome back to the Savor Filipino Summit. We hope that you guys enjoyed your breakout sessions, identity, branding, media, and business, whatever it was. We hope that it was very fun and informative. Right now, we're going to call on some of our— Hey everyone, welcome back to— Wow, it's so weird when you hear yourself and it's feedback, but that's done. Sorry about that. Right now, we're going to be calling on our note takers to report back to the larger team just some bullet points on what we missed if you were not able to join those. So I'm going to start with our note taker for the session on identity, Raf Ignacio. Raf, are you there? Raf Ignacio is also the proprietor behind the Filipino Food Crawl in New York. And I believe he's about to be hopping on soon. Raf, I'm so excited to know. Oh, okay, it looks like PJ will be reporting. PJ Quesada, our chairperson, and all right, there you are, PJ. How was the chat?
It was actually really awesome. And I apologize to everyone who was there. I totally told you something was happening next that wasn't happening. Sorry about that. But there was a couple of points that really rang through for me. We had a really great discussion about standardization. Specifically, should Filipino food have a standard? And if so, how would that be approached? And the general outcome was that a standard on face value is a dangerous thing to try to apply to something that's essentially a work of art, something that needs to evolve and breathe and experience. So putting it into that kind of a box of a standard would, everyone felt that it would be a disservice. The other thing was, between the two panelists, the Chef Choi had a really interesting story about how whenever he goes on like cruise ships, because he used to work cruise ships, he would actually look for Filipinos that were on the culinary crew to join him, and so in a sense, Chef Sam Choi's engine runs on Filipinos. Someone actually typed that in, and I thought that was really clever. And you actually notice that in a lot of restaurants that Nobu, the original Nobu in Tribeca, New York, the executive chef there was Filipino for a long time. Filipinos have been cooking other people's food in other people's kitchens for a very long time. And so with the idea of this carrying the food identity from generation to generation, there was a big push on education, in the sense that we're keepers of knowledge that comes from the generation before us. And we take care of that knowledge, we add something to it, and then we have to pass it on to the next generation of caretakers. And that's how we prevail in allowing our cuisine to evolve so that it really becomes the mainstay that we know it can be. So it was a fantastic discussion.
That's amazing, PJ. And as a matter of fact, in our discussion, the topic of identity and culture definitely came up. So thank you so much for sharing those top takeaways. Up next, we are going to be calling on our note taker for the branding session, my dearest friend and the segment producer for Culinary Alive, Mitzi Manzano. Mitzi, it looks like we cannot find you backstage, but in any case, I'll sub. For the branding discussion, it was really interesting because, I'm actually probably just gonna go one speaker at a time. For Patrice Cleary, so much of branding a Filipino restaurant in Washington, D.C., where she was, the first of her kind, in the DMV area, there were really not a lot of, there's not really a lot of precedence for what she was going to do. But the one thing that was very apparent in all of the things that Patrice said was that she showed up as she was. there is such a careful measure taken to really explain to everyone what each dish is, because we're never going to assume that people know what a Bicol Express is, or that they know what a sisig or a bagaong rice is. And through actually explaining, and we were talking about the whole branding process and continuum, this is really about creating your narrative and copywriting. Like, how do we now take a look at the different things that we are selling or that we are producing and make that consumable for an audience, irrespective of whether or not they're Filipino? When we chatted with Alexandra Dorda, who is the founder of Kasama Rum, and I can actually show you the bottle, the one thing that she talked about was creating a rum that was specifically designed for a more feminine market. Historically, rum has, she actually describes it as, it has an almost like pirate-like image, right? Like whenever you think of rum, it sounds very archaic. It's designed for men and mostly depicted with, some sort of a pirate or, like a pirate ship in the bottle, right? But this was actually created so differently. And when we were talking about branding, Alexander really talked about how not having a lot of female presence in the rum industry really allowed for her to kind of break through and come forward with a lot of the very different flavor profiles that are Filipino. She also says that, whenever you're creating a product, of not being afraid to say like, yes, this is Filipino. This is not a fusion rum. It is not an Asian rum. It is a Filipino rum. And the process of being able to educate people about how the Philippines is the #1 producer and also one of the top consumers of rum in the world really helps in sending out that message. Our last speaker, Cheryl Tu of Cross Cultures, talked so much about how food is really kind of the first foray into understanding different cultures, right? And so in many places where Filipino food was unavailable, such as, interestingly enough, Hong Kong and in Miami, there was really an opportunity to be able to showcase what Filipino food was all about. But there was also something that she mentioned that I thought was very interesting, that, there are only 5,000, was it 5,000 Filipinos that reside in Miami? And I think only around 30-something thousand Asians that live there. There's such a challenge to be able to not only explain what our food and beverage is, but who we are. And food kind of becomes that vessel, right? So when people try a taba ng talangka, which she brought there, care of Margarita Flores, when she brought the taba ng talangka, she called, I think it was branded as crab essence. Also because Miami is a very health conscious city, they were thinking that crab fat might actually turn people away. Although I love crab fat. Crab fat is like the best thing on pasta, on rice, on so many other things. But anyway, going back to branding, she was just saying that, it's really helpful to be aware of who your market is and be sure that you're also educating them in the process. And lastly, we wrapped it up with a discussion of, in the branding continuum, not to just think about the logo, your website, your story, or even your packaging. That in this day and age, throughout the pandemic and because of the COVID-19 situation, there's really kind of an opportunity for all of us who are marketing a product, be it a restaurant, a rum, or food in general, or whatever it is. There's such a huge opportunity for us to overlay a positive impact design to that branding. So let's be sure that whatever we're trying to do for food or product or craft spirits, that we're making sure that we are also taking a look at our impact on the larger community as well. It was actually super fun. I hope you guys got to catch a chance to watch a bit of it. Right now, we're going to move along to the media session, and our note taker was Lisa Gino. Lisa, are you backstage as well? All right, I hear that Lisa Gino is about to come on stage. And I'm so curious if you guys are watching please use our chat function. Give us some feedback, let us know. And if there was something that we did not cover, if you have ideas or references, be sure to share that with us. And right now we have with us,
you guys are watching. Please,
Lisa, you may have to exit your other tab and keep this one open.
Yes.
But right now we have joining us to represent the session on media, an author and favorite baker out here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Lisa Gino. Lisa, what happened at the session?
Oh, thank you so much, Keesa. It was wonderful to be with such esteemed panelists. I was with a food journalist, I was with a film director, I was with a food influencer, and also our moderator also was another food journalist. And it's awesome to see how they all came to food. One came to food because of wanting to do a change in lifestyle, and while the other one wanted to showcase the Philippine culinary food. And she wasn't it wasn't an easy thing like people would think, hey, let's go make a movie. But most of it were out of her pocket. It took her 5 years, and it just persistence and tenacity. That's what helped her get there. And then we also have one food journalist, and he started also as a lifestyle, and then covering until they found out that there was more interest in restaurants, and so that's how he got into that. He started covering restaurants and opening, and they were talking about how food is they were looking at entertainment and how location and food trends would influence the people's interest, and how people have to make changes with their diet and their lifestyle, and they can still eat and appreciate Filipino food. And with the pandemic, we discussed also about how people could pivot and make their business still work. And so it was, they said, through just supporting each other and being in the media, what they usually would do is they would like Queenie would go out to restaurants and then blog about them, and bring the spotlight on them, similarly to what Eric would do. And it was awesome that Alexandra was able to come up with the food ulam, which has gone global. And we talked about longanisa and how we could use longanisa, and that basically what with the pandemic, we need to be able to adapt and do takeout more often, and because sharing food is a safety issue, because it's communal food, so it's best to just do takeout. And like in California, we eat out outside, like on the streets, that they made changes so that we can do that. But otherwise, it's we have to really go into our social media. And since everybody's on the phone, everybody's at home, everybody's at the phone, if you can be kind and post about the Filipino food, or how you enjoy the restaurant, or enjoy the food, or what kind of food trends that is popular, just share it, shout it out loud, so that everybody else can hear and everybody else can appreciate it. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, Eric was saying that when they would spotlight a certain restaurant, they would have this frolic effect, wherein the restaurant gets really, really popular. And I think that's pretty darn awesome. That everyone has the capacity to support each other, and you can do that by just posting something nice about how you tasted this food and you thought it was awesome.
That's so true. And as a matter of fact, if you guys chance on anything that is awesome and Filipino, and you're about to post it on Instagram, you can tag us at Filipino Food Movement, and we will most likely repost. Thank you so much, Lisa Gino. All right, next up, we are going to have quite the treat. We are going to be listening into a kitchen conversation that's going to be moderated by our chairperson and founder, PJ Quesada, with someone who is not a stranger to TV. The person we are going to be chatting with today actually won the Food Network's Great Food Truck Race and also hosts his own show, Cooking Hawaiian Style, Lanai Tabura. So I'm going to turn this over to PJ and Lanai, and I'm going to be listening in on the other side. Have fun, y'all. While we're waiting for PJ, Lanai, how are you?
How are you?
Doing great. All right, guys, we'll take it away. Have a great chat.
What's up,
Catch you
PJ?
later.
What's up, Lanai? How you been?
Good, aloha.
Aloha. Oh man, it's been a couple of years.
Man, I got this dull background. Maybe I should do this with the flag behind me. The Filipino
Yes.
flag like that.
I love it. I love it. So, well, I've got a couple of questions for you.
Fire away.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if you still would consider yourself one of the original local boys.
Oh, you're going deep. Yeah, we're actually putting together the best of album because it was never released digitally. It was only on cassette. So we're re-digitalizing. We're trying to anyway because we don't have the masters, but we've been working on it.
So, but you do have some old cassettes? That's awesome.
We do. We have a bunch. We've been actually working on it the past year and a half. Hopefully we'll get it out by Christmas this year.
Awesome. But before we get into your current show, Cooking Hawaiian Style, you did reach out to me in the middle of the pandemic with a couple of projects you were working on, and I just wanted to check and see how those went.
Oh, those were awesome. Thank you so much for helping us with those, by the way. We were feeding 1,000 senior citizen or kupuna in Hawaii a day since March of last year, and we're still feeding them. We're ending the program coming up soon because we're running out of funds, but we raised almost $2 million to feed our senior citizens who couldn't leave their homes during the pandemic, and we did a couple of food drives, and you guys were a big part of that and made a donation and helped out with that, so we really appreciate your help. The state of Hawaii appreciates your help.
It's all in the ohana.
Yeah.
I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad you're doing that, and I'm glad you're still doing that. And when is that slated to end currently?
Well, the campaign is the food campaign is ending, but the actual Show Aloha Challenge nonprofit organization lives on. Mike Gangloff, who created it, is still making it happen. I kind of stepped away because I was handling the food part of it and the marketing part of it. And of course, I'm doing a bunch of other things. But I still work with him, help him do all his media and commercials and stuff. So he's still raising money to do other programs. But the first run was for our senior citizens.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So are you going to continue with another feeding program in the near future? Is there any plans for that?
We're going to continue with that one as funds still come in. We kind of passed it on to different organizations like Meals on Wheels. St. Francis Hospital has been helping out with that as well. So there's a huge machine behind it now, and there's not just 3 of us anymore. So that's the beauty of it. The whole community is involved, so it's now running on its own. So I can step away and do, my things.
That's amazing. So how 3 people can feed 1,000 seniors a day? Just ask Lanai.
It was a lot of work, but we did it. It's still going. So we couldn't do it on our own, obviously, but yeah, guys like you and the community helping out really made it.
The community is grateful for you being on the front line. We're glad we could do what we could. Well, we're coming out of things, sort of.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. What are you seeing on the ground? I mean, you're tight in a lot of the small business circles out there. What is it that you're seeing?
I'm sorry, I was making a lot of noise right there. Go ahead, say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You're pretty tight in the small business circles out there, especially in the food industry. And I'm just wondering what is it that you're hearing, right now? How's everybody feeling about where things are with the recovery and what their plans are in the next couple of months?
Well, the good thing about people in Hawaii, we're very optimistic. We always look at the bright side, I think. We live in such a great place. Why can't you, right? We have lost a lot of businesses, I think over 1,000 counting now. But, whenever you have this kind of these kind of hurdles, you always have optimism to do other things and fix things. And people are really getting together. The small businesses especially are getting together and helping each other, which is good. And the community has been really good about eating at places that are small, eating at places that are mom and pop, so to speak. So that's been a really cool thing to see. And you see it a lot with different social media groups, especially the big influencers. They're creating these, all right, this week we're all going to eat at, Elena's in Waipahu, and next week we're all going to eat at, so you're really starting to see the community step up, which Hawaii has always been really good about. I guess when you live in a hurricane row, you get all these obstacles, and we really come together to put it together. So to answer your question, it's very optimistic. I think a lot of people are hanging on to, especially me. I have a couple businesses that are hanging on by its fingernails, but the community's been very supportive.
Great. Here's an interesting question. So, how would you say Hawaiian businesses have adapted to the new technologies that are now necessary during the pandemic, like mobile pay and things like that?
That's a good question. We had a really slow start at the beginning. I think everyone did, because it was so, what do we do next? How long is it going to last? That kind of deal. My team, we kind of played offense, and we went and tried to do as much as we can with working with PayPal, working with different companies, different hotels that had outdoor seating. For example, Chef Eric Pasquale and Beverly Desrosito and I started doing pop-up dinners all through the pandemic. I think we did about a dozen last year, and outdoor venues, and just had to adapt with that type of thing. And then we also used Zoom and platforms like this to do cooking classes. We did a lot of cooking classes. We did wine tastings. We worked with Mark Arsenault from Illist and used his paddock, and he used his network to take a poke class. So, we did a lot of different things using social media and these digital platforms. I think we could do a lot more as we're figuring things out. I'm the most computer illiterate person on here, thanks to Andrea, who I had to actually come down to the Philippines consulate to do this interview because I couldn't get on the platform. So I'm learning as we go too, but I don't mind being here. I'm right down the street. But yeah, using all these new technologies and techniques and digital has been all new to me, and I'm trying to adapt like a chameleon, like everyone else.
Awesome. Well, glad that you're there at the consulate. Thanks for catching us up on just kind of what's happening on the ground. I'm glad everyone's optimistic. As I understand, you recently spent some time in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What was that about?
It was pretty amazing. The Philippines Tourism Authority got together. Tom Cunan, who's an amazing Filipino chef, Phil-Am chef, and of course Charles from Mamser, who I just love dearly. The three of us got together, and we got to go on this adventure for a month, traveling all over the Philippines, learning about our culture and different foods and spices and just things that I was blown away. Things I never knew. You're constantly learning in this business, but I learned a lot in that 1 month, and hanging out with those guys and just the the stuff that they put together on the ground was nonstop. It was a little exhausting, but it was nonstop. And we traveled all the way to Davao, Cebu, Pampanga, just all over. Started in Makati and just went on this adventure of food. I must have gained 10 pounds, and it was hot, and I still gained weight, eating all these great places and meeting these amazing chefs too, like Chef Margarita. She's awesome. I wish I could just work in her kitchen for 2 months. I won't even get paid. I just want to work for her 2 months. I'll wash dishes and just to watch her work and learn from her. And of course, all the other chefs that we met along the way. It's pretty amazing. CNN did an amazing job capturing it all. If everyone missed it, you can get it, I think, on YouTube now. There's a bunch of, it's like a mini series that they did of us traveling all over the Philippines and trying these different foods. People don't realize when you live, like if you live in LA or you live in San Francisco or you live in Hawaii, you have just a couple different genres of Filipino food or style of food, And when you go to the Philippines, there's all different kinds, It's just amazing that I didn't know all these things, at how old I am. And I've been to the Philippines at least 50 times, but it was really cool. It was a once in a lifetime experience. And I kind of have put together my food tours now. As soon as the Philippines opens up, I'm going to start promoting the Philippines and start doing more food tours there because it is so amazing.
So, okay, so you've got the CNN special that we're all going to find on YouTube. Can you share a couple of highlights that didn't make the final edit about your trip?
They did such a good job. I think they covered almost everything, from maybe they didn't go as deep as we spent a day at a chocolate farm, for example. We spent a day at the lechon farm or the factory where they make the lechon. Maybe they didn't go as deep because of time, obviously, but they did an amazing job covering everything. I don't know how I would make it better. I mean, I guess time maybe is the only way. But they did an incredible job. I think Phil Ams especially will be surprised on what the Philippines has to offer, especially when it aired. I had so many messages from Filipino family and friends that have never been to the Philippines that said, "What? They make the chocolate in there? They make cheese? There's like cheese. I mean, grade A cheese made in the Philippines? Are you kidding me?" Those types of things. People were blown away.
That's the Carabao milk cheese, right?
Yes, and Carabao milk. I never had. As many times I've been there, I've never had it, and now I'm like addicted to the cheese. Like I love that cheese. Carabao cheese is just amazing.
Awesome. Well, with what's the number one thing that you're bringing back from that maybe will make it into your show or your next project?
I'm hoping to do, I do a show in Tokyo that features all the foods that come from Japan that are so special and popular. I really am working and want to do a show out of the Philippines the same way I do this show. That show we did about ramen, it won an Emmy Award that Beverly and Andrew produced. And I think that there's more content in the Philippines than there is in Japan. And Japan, to me, is the food capital of the world. They have the most Michelin stars. They make the best Italian food, all these things they have. But the Philippines has more content, has more things to feature. So I'm hopefully when this is all over, I can raise the funding to go and produce these shows, because I think that, part of the reason we're having this platform right now is to discuss how Filipino food is the next big food. It's not the next big food. It's happening right now. We're in the middle of it right now because everyone's in front of their computer, everyone's on their laptops and phones. Now is the perfect time to feature all of this stuff. I get that question asked all the time. Do you think Filipino food is next? It was Korean food and Thai food, and what do you mean next? We're in the middle of it right now. Guys like Tom Cunan and Charles and Alvin from Egg Slut, they're all putting all of us on the map. Those guys, have really taken it to the next level when you talk about where Filipino food is going. But yeah, I think what I've taken from the Philippines is we just need to put more lights on it now. We have the spotlights there. Now we need to get some more spotlights on it now. And the big thing is supporting each other. You know, the Hawaiian chefs have done an amazing job over the last 20 years of supporting each other. When I say that, in the sense of guys like Alan Wong, Sam Choi, Roy, who are all friends of mine, they have really went to the mainland and took everybody with them instead of doing these one-offs, you know. And I know sometimes it's hard, but the next generation of Hawaiian chefs are doing it as well. And I think the Filipino chefs need to get together more and do more things together. And if we can get the chefs together, now you get the marketing level, the next level of sponsorships or whatever you want to call it, get them together, and then everybody wins. The next thing is products. You know what I mean? All our Filipino products are awesome. You know, I didn't know there were 1,000 different bagoongs. You know what I mean? Yeah. You always go to one in grandma's house. you know, but that's the next level, I think, for all of us.
Well, you mentioned like 1,000 different bagoongs. Actually, I want to kind of go with that. So, in an earlier session, we were talking about food identity, and the topic of standardization did come up. And someone put in the chat comments, like, how do you standardize an island nation of more than 7,000 unique land masses? And you got a point. I wouldn't even know where you would start. But like when you consider that there's like 1,000 different bagoongs, you know that it's bagoong, right?
Yeah, right.
So in a sense, some of these foods already do kind of have a standard. Anyway, my question is like, if you're going to bring something like bagoong, knowing that it has this huge variety, how would you introduce that to someone who's never really had a fermented shrimp paste before?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people have had it. They didn't realize they had it. If you had Thai food, you had it. If you had any type of Asian food, you've had it. You just didn't realize that there was a different name for it. You know what I mean? So I think making it mainstream, I think the question is, how do you make it mainstream, right? That's your question. How do you make it mainstream?
I think that's the key question.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
If everyone's doing it, it's mainstream. That's how you do it. If every chef is using it, if every person is buying it, it is mainstream. It's just not talked about, you know? And social media has its good and its bad. The good is you have a platform to talk about it and to share it, and how to share it in many different ways. You know, you could do a whole channel on bagoong recipes, and you could do it in different Asian styles, from Chinese to Thai to what have you, you know? That's the best way to explain it. I think it's like Hawaiian salt. Hawaiian salt always had this, Hawaiian salt is on the same level as Himalayan salt. And everyone's like, you know, 20 years ago, people didn't talk about it or use it. Now everyone talks about it and uses it, you know. It's the same way. It's when all the chefs start using it, you know, patis and all these ingredients that we use every day. That's all that needs to be. That's all that needs to happen. Soy sauce is another one. You know, shoyu 25 years ago was not big at all. You know, there was one soy sauce. It was Kikkoman. In Hawaii, there was two, Aloha Shoyu and Kikkoman. Now there's 50, you know. So I think it's the same way. We just have to keep using it and promoting it, putting it in the forefront.
Got it. Okay, so you make it sound so easy.
Well, I've been doing it every day. I have a cooking show that we feature it all. We feature everything that we can and talk about it as much as we can. Sometimes I think the reason we did our cooking show was to carry these traditional recipes from the plantation days. Okay, that was the only goal that we wanted to, because our grandparents didn't write it down. Just like your grandparents, if you were in the kitchen with your Lola, she would tell you how to cook it, but there was no measuring. She would just say, taste it or dump it in, right? now we have the opportunity to say what it is. We have the opportunity to tell you how much to put in it. So it's just a little of it's just a little education. That's what I liked about what the Philippines Tourism Authority did and CNN did. Was it was about education. You know, we were 3 Filipino chefs, well, we're Filipino chefs, but we didn't know anything. They taught us about all these things, and we're Filipino. So it's just about helping each other and educating each other. And the show Cooking Hawaiian Style, because the plantation days makes up of Filipinos, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, and Portuguese, we feature those ingredients and we talk about those ingredients. Everyone has to do it, whether you have a TV show or not. You know, whether you're cooking at home for friends, family, and your own kids. You know, I'm realizing that a lot of people that I work with, my age, their kids don't know how to cook these days because we've done everything for them. Start teaching them about bagoong and patis, man. Show them where the bottle is at the bottom in the back of the in the back of the counter there, under the counter that no one sees. You know, start educating them.
I'm trying to remember how old your kids are.
22 and 17.
Okay, pretty good gap. Pretty good gap. You know, within your experience, how would you say they are taking to this philosophy of, like, you know, harboring the knowledge of this food? Are they into it?
They are. The only thing with my 2 is they're spoiled because we eat out so much. In my business, I'm always invited to eat out, so I take them with me everywhere to eat. But I always explain to them where the food came from, so they know where the food comes from, because Hawaii is such a diverse place, as everyone knows. But when you look at diversity in Hawaii, it's not Hawaiian anymore. Hawaii is it's a true melting pot. You know, but it is mostly Asian. Filipino, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So when you eat loco moco, that's not Hawaiian. So I teach them, whenever we eat something, I teach them, do you guys know where this is from or how it came about? You know, do you know where this adobo came from? Do you know where the pancit came from? I'm always educating them. But they're pretty smart kids. They go to Hawaiian school, and that's what they're taught. They always learn where things come from and how it came about.
That's interesting, because when I think about it, in Hawaiian school, kind of everything for the most part came from somewhere else, right?
Yes,
an island
correct.
Of Hawaii.
Correct.
Well, again, I want to push this just a little bit further.
Okay.
What's the we've been hearing for a number of years, like, oh, Filipino food's the next big thing. Oh, critical mass is right around the corner. What you say it's happening right now. I want to agree with you. I want to play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Why aren't there 4 or 5 Filipino cooking shows on television right now?
Because you guys haven't done them. I haven't got to get together and do it. I haven't seen any. No one has gone and pushed it. You know, and look at this. How many Jolly Bees are there, and where are they? They're everywhere. Jolly Bees are everywhere. I cannot believe how many Jolly Bees there are. I think we have 4 or 5 here already. And is that going to be the representation of our Filipino food? I hope not. We need, you know, not taking anything away from that, but It's a good start to show you that people love Filipino food. Bourdain talked about it. You know, every Food Network chef has talked about it. That's what I mean about getting together. I always tell chefs this: you can't do it alone. The best chefs have the best businesses behind them. Every big chef has some big conglomerate behind them, right? Roy has 30 restaurants out of Hawaii, and he owns a small percentage of them. There's big businesses behind it. That's what we need, and that's what I'm talking about, getting people together. How do we get the big businesses to get together with these amazing chefs to create what we, you know, a million Jollibees 5-star? You know, how do we get it to that? That's how you do it. That's how everyone has to work together. It can't be these amazing chefs doing it all on their own. And the chefs have to understand that as well. the chefs can't go and do it all on their own either. You know, every big chef has a big name behind them or a big company behind them, and that's how we do it. And we're starting to. I think we're starting to. You know, you're starting to see these younger chefs coming out with these amazing restaurants. Of course, 2020 put a little wedge in the system, but now's a good time to start talking and having these discussions.
That's a fantastically positive and optimistic note to wrap it up today. Actually,
it's like a racehorse, PJ. If the guys who put money behind the racehorses that win, go check out how big their companies are.
That's a good point. I mean, when we were talking about the Sari Manok Award that we gave to Eddie Flores earlier, the Sari Manok is something that, that's your prize fighter that you bet on, you double down on. And, I think what we all need to do is double down. Let's double down on what we know is delicious. We don't need any other standard than what pleases our tongue and what draws the community together.
If I had $10 million, I'd bring Chef Margarita here and open up a bunch of Italian restaurants.
Italian restaurants, huh? No,
yeah, and if I had $10 million, I would back Tom Cunan and open 10 restaurants for him.
Absolutely.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Boy, you open up 10 restaurants with Tom Cunan, and then maybe there won't be a line.
Yeah, right. And Charles, with Alvin, all these guys. These guys are awesome, awesome guys, and they're primed for it. They know what to do. They know what to cook. People love them already. We just got to back them and support them.
We gotta shine a spotlight on them.
Yes.
As well as the food. Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Oh man. Well,
good questions, man. Good questions, PJ.
Say again?
Good questions.
Oh yeah, no problem. I try to challenge you. Well, I figured I haven't seen you since my brother's wedding 2 years.
Wait, do you live here now?
No, I still live in California, but my brother's out there, also in Makakilo.
Yeah.
Just turned 1.
Don't come to Hawaii and not call me, all right?
I can't go to Hawaii even if I wanted to. It's complicated right now.
You can come now. I'll get you a test.
All right. Chef, thank you so much for your time and for your sharing your experience with everybody on the stream today.
Thank you guys for having me. You guys are awesome for doing this. We need more of these.
We just started, didn't we?
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
What an amazing chat, PJ and Lanai. Thank you so much. So interesting that Lanai Tabura mentioned, obviously like we need to double down and put our investment towards Filipino food and restaurants. He did mention Tom Cunana and Margarita Flores in the Philippines, but hey, let's also not forget Patrice Cleary, who was actually the first one to open a Filipino restaurant in the Washington, D.C. DMV area. There's also, we have people like Cristina Sine in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and my favorite, Armando de Tiatco, out in Brooklyn, Sheldon Simeon out in Maui, right? There's so many different chefs who are really charging the way and making it such an exciting time for all of us who are in the industry. Anyway, up next, I am going to call on Al Perez. Al Perez is actually a member of our board of directors, and Al's going to share with us a little bit of the highlight of what went down at the business session. Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Keesa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, cool. First of all, shout out to Lanai Tabura. Hi, Lanai. Hello from San Francisco. I'm so sorry I missed you when you were here in town, but hopefully I'll see you next time you're back. Our breakout session was the business session, moderated by Michael Ang, who is a board member of Filipino Food Movement. He's in New York. We also had Peter Oshiro. He works as a food safety person for the Hawaii Department of Health. We also had Joel Navaska. He is a chef and owner of Tiano's restaurant in Hawaii. And then we also had Eric Elmar he's the trade commissioner for the Philippine Department of Trade and Industry. And I am here, I was a note taker, I'm here in San Francisco. So Michael posed just 3 questions to our panelists. First question was, what was the experience like during the pandemic? Number two was what was the resources available for them to sustain themselves. And then, of course, the last part was just closing message. So to start, the experience during the pandemic, Peter, Chef Peter from Hawaii, Peter from the Department of Health in Hawaii said that from a regulatory standpoint, of course, last year, their goal was to be able to communicate as quickly as possible the new regulations around the pandemic. And they also adapted themselves in their department by introducing a virtual inspection system where they're able to remotely inspect restaurants with their equipment check, pre-opening process, going through their menu, all that done remotely and safely. And Chef Joel from Hawaii said that during the lockdown, they were actually set for expansion and scaling up to 5 locations. But unfortunately, they had to scale back during the pandemic. But thanks to his awesome and amazing crew, they were able to do that efficiently. They were able to adapt to the new environment. They pivoted to a food truck model. They also created a wide array of bento boxes available. They even updated their POS system to allow customers to order online through a desktop or mobile phone, and instead of the traditional landline, allow busy signal. So through their efficient POS system, all the orders go direct to the kitchen. They're able to process that, and they even have a very efficient pickup system set up through that updated POS system. Eric from LA mentioned that one of the first regions to shift online. They started sponsoring webinars to support small businesses with information and resources about COVID. They were a part of a support group for Filipino businesses in LA. But unfortunately, a lot of Filipino restaurants in LA were not able to survive and had to shut down. There are a few who did. So those who were able to adapt included Lasa, who pivoted to an all takeout model called La Cita. Others tried offering ready-to-cook meal kits, so that's also helpful. All right, so the next question was about resources available to them. Chef Joel from Hawaii said that he did have access to PPP, but he did end up having to fund the majority of his majority out of his own pocket last year. Some restaurant owners he mentioned found it very, very challenging to navigate through the PPE approval process. Sorry. And then Eric mentioned that Eric from LA. So he mentioned that he brought people together to collaborate and share information. They have a resource sharing platform on Facebook so that people can efficiently and easily collaborate and share information online. And just for closing messages, Chef Joel mentioned that sometimes you'll have to live through the extreme to find your true passion, and you need that passion to sustain yourself through the difficult times, and especially as we move forward. And he does see a lot of opportunities as we gear up and ramp up for their eventual reopening. So he said, just need to kind of keep your eyes open, be creative, and take care of yourself, take care of your staff, and take care of your customers. And Eric from LA mentioned that they are, as just closing remarks, they are committed to being a resource for Filipino American entrepreneurs and business owners from LA, Texas, Arizona, and Hawaii. He mentioned that when you're starting your business, start with what you're passionate about and what you're good at, and that the Department of DTI is ready and available to match you with suppliers from the Philippines. And Peter mentioned that unfortunately COVID could have been prevented, and we really all need to follow the protocols. Make sure we're all wearing masks, social distancing, wash your hands, just follow those simple prevention techniques, and we can get through this together. So as a society, we need to work together and support each other, especially during these very challenging times. So that's it. Back to you, Keesa.
Right. Thank you so much, Commissioner Al Perez. For those of you who don't know, Al also runs the largest Filipino festival outside of the Philippines. It's called the Pistahan Parade and Festival, and it happens every second weekend of August. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right on. All right. Thank you so much, Al. Okay, guys. We are going on to the next part. It's going to be really, really quick, and we're going to test the chat function from where you are. So if you can, use the chat box and let me know which city you're joining us from. We just want to see who's on and if that chat box is working. Let us know. I'll start. Where are you guys joining us from? Let us know in the chat box. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do, I see a few of you chiming in. Thank you. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to be giving away some prizes from our partners and sponsors. So be sure that you type in fast, because the first person to type in the answer is going to win different prizes. Okay, the first thing that we're giving away is from our sponsor, Tuk Tuk Box. Tuk Tuk Box is a food retailer that curates Southeast Asian subscription boxes and products partnered with vetted small business owners and local farmers. Literally, this thing is so cute. They have you can get a box of I think it's called nudes. A box of noodles, right? It's like different kinds of noodles all in one box. And they also have different boxes that that kind of cater to, depending on how adventurous you are, it's going to curate different items, different products that you can try at home. So we're actually going to send you one today. Well, not today, but maybe within the week. They actually ship everywhere in the United States from San Francisco. So the first prize that we're giving away is from Tuk Tuk Box. Okay, now the way to win this prize, let me just check my phone. Okay, the first person to type in 3 Filipino dishes that have repeating symbols or repeating words, syllables. Oh my God, I can't read. The first person to type in 3 Filipino dishes that have repeating words or repeating syllables is going to win a gift box from Tuk Tuk Box. All right, y'all, let's see how fast you can think and type. 3 Filipino dishes that have repeating words or syllables. Oh my word. Okay, that was so good. Our winner is Giselle Prado. Halo halo, pichi pichi, and sari sari. What is sari sari? Huh. Well, our winner is Giselle Prado. So Giselle, be sure to maybe just send us your email address or your Instagram handle so we can mark that down. Thanks, guys. So awesome. For those of you who want to check out Tuk Tuk Box, they are available at tuktukbox.com. So go ahead and check that out. Okay, the next thing that we're giving away is going to be a gift from Joey's Kitchen. Joey's Kitchen is on the island of Maui by Chef Joey. He was just our. He was actually just our guest on Culinaria Live just last week. So, okay, the next question to win a gift from Joey's Kitchen out in the island of Maui is the first person who can give us 2 different varieties of longanisa. Can you name 2 different varieties of longanisa? Let us know in the chat box. And if you can, the first one is going to win a prize from Joey's Kitchen from Chef Joey Makadangdang out in Maui. Oh, Oh, and I just got schooled. Giselle Prado says that sari-sari is just like sinigang, but they use the ginger for the sourness. That's so awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go to Hawaii now and try that. Okay, guess what? We have a winner. Mitzi Manzano, vegan longanisa and sweet longanisa. Does that count? I guess, huh? Well, anyway, Mitzi, send us your information in the chat box. Congratulations. Okay, the next one, we are going to be giving away a surprise from, is this called Kai bundles or Chi bundles? Maybe it's Chi bundles, huh? If I am butchering this, please feel free to call me out in the chat box. But anyway, we're going to be giving out a prize from Chi bundles. And the question is, with Chinese New Year coming up, name the first person who can name 2 different varieties of pancit is going to be winning a gift from Chi bundles. So name 2 varieties of pancit in the chat function. Oh, and I have to say that, you know, Al Perez actually named Imus longanisa and vegan longanisa. So delicious. I love Imus. Okay, we have another winner, Kit Furukawa, who wins. And Kit actually named Bihon and Palabok. So dynamite. Kit, please send us your info in the chat function and you will be winning a gift box or a present from Chi Bundles. Okay, the next item that we are giving away is a gift from La Costa Chocolates. Ooh, this is so perfect for Valentine's Day. A gift from La Costa Chocolates in the chat function. The first person to give us, so here's what you have to do. Tell us the name of the province where you or your family is from and a dish that's popular from that province. So the name of the province where either you or your family is from in the Philippines and a dish that is popular in that province. Let us know and you're going to be winning La Costa Chocolates. And, you know, I love chocolate. As a matter of fact, while we're waiting for people, Al Perez, you're so fast. Al Perez says Laguna and Buko Pie. Oh my word. Al Perez, so our prize goes to Al Perez, but Al, since you're a member of our board, if you're willing to give it up, let us know, because our next person to type in was Rose Batista, who says that her family's from Ilocos Sur and they are famous for dinengding. Let us know. But Al Perez, you were definitely first. Speaking of chocolate, I want to let you guys know that something really exciting has been going on. And I think we're going to go live with this on Instagram to show you the latest collab between Udalali Chocolates and Don Papa Rum. It's actually really, really interesting. Oh, thank you so much, Al. Thanks for giving up your prize. So the winner for this round is going to be Rose Bautista. Thanks, Al. Rose, please let us know. Al, he says he's so competitive. Anyway, Rose, let us know how to reach you so we can get that prize to you. Okay, the last item that we're giving away is going to be grocery items from East West Marketing. Oh my gosh, what I would do for groceries, free groceries. Okay, the last item is going to be, okay, whoever answers first is going to win grocery items from East West Marketing. And I can't tell you how much this is probably my favorite item. And whatever it is, I hope you guys also throw in some banana ketchup and patis and suka and toyo and all those staples. But the first person to answer this in our chat box is going to win. True or false? The idiom takaw tingin means I'm always hungry. True or false? Takaw tingin means I'm always hungry. I'm always hungry. But true or false, the idiom takaw tikim translates to I'm always hungry. True or false? Actually, it's false. And Teresita Ocariza wins grocery items from East West Marketing. It's false because takaw tingin means that like you eat with your eyes, like, like it's basically like the seafood diet, right? Like I'll eat it when I see it. So the answer to that is false. And our winner for this round is Teresita Ocariza. Congratulations. You just won some grocery items from East West Marketing. So please be sure to send us a note in the chat box how to reach you so we can get those items to you. And thank you again to all of our sponsors and partners for this giveaway: Tuk Tuk Box, Joey's Kitchen, Chi Bundles, Lacoste Chocolates, and East West Marketing. We hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you can't finish the chocolates or the grocery items, I can send you my address so you know where to send them. The next thing that we have going on is just closing remarks. And I'm going to call back our chairperson and founder at the Filipino Food Movement, PJ Quesada. Take it away.
Let me just adjust my brightness here. Oh, wow. So here we are, the last Filipino, the last moments of the Savor Filipino Summit Hawaii edition. Just kind of looking through my notes, we started by hearing the story of Eddie Flores, and we provided him with our first ever Sari Manok Award. And to remind those of you that may have missed it, the Sari Manok Award is for those champions that have spent their life and work promoting Filipino food and therefore Filipino culture. So it's times like this when I actually, it just makes me really reflect on some of the core tenets and values of the Filipino food movement. And it's a lot of how we make our decisions about what to do and how to do it, especially when it comes to a topic as touchy as Filipino food is. So we believe that Filipino food is three fundamental things. The first, it is diverse. Filipino food, you can see in its history, in its trajectory, how much it has branched out and how it has substituted ingredients and adopted other alternative methods in order to create something new and unique. Number two, Filipino food is also inclusive. We don't want to leave anyone out. You don't have to be Filipino to eat Filipino food or to cook Filipino food. What matters is the flavor and the people that you're enjoying it with. And finally, Filipino cuisine is extremely personal. As we each all go through our journey and we taste different types of food from our childhood, made by our family, made by our friends, made by total strangers from which we have very high expectations. It's all the same. We've turned it into something that's very much ours. And we want it to be seen for something that's authentic, something that's congruous with how we feel on the inside and what we're presenting with our food on the outside. And so in service of this, in service of being congruous with how we feel and what we want to serve, what we want to do with this Filipino food movement in Hawaii, I believe that what's come out of today is that we are keepers of a sacred knowledge. And in the sense of whether it's Hawaiian or Filipino indigenous practices, both of our cultures have gone through enormous struggle and still do go through enormous struggle to discover what our true identity is today and what we want to be moving forward. And the food is ground zero for this movement for Filipinos. So as keepers of the sacred knowledge, it really is up to us to make sure that we treat that knowledge with respect. We add to that body of knowledge with our own experience and contribution. But most importantly, we have to transfer that knowledge to the next generation of mindful caretakers so that the Filipino food movement will outlive us. And that's really the point. We want this legacy to outlive what we do today, because it's the reason that our ancestors came to the Hawaiian Islands and came to the United States in search of something better. So I want to thank everybody for spending a couple of hours with us today in search of the answer to the question, how do we make Filipino food better and more accessible for everyone? How do we make it more mainstream? How do we make it less ours and more everybody's? So I want to send you all with one last thing. As keepers of this sacred knowledge, it's very important that you understand where you came from. And if you don't know, to become curious, ask questions, cook, experiment, fail, try other restaurants, give them constructive feedback. Whatever you do, we're all in this together. We are a community of Filipino food lovers, whether we're Filipino or not. And it's that tenet that's going to keep us moving and make sure that Filipino food does claim its rightful place in the American menu. Mahalo for joining us today.
Thank you so much, PJ. You know, I just found out that we are also going to be giving away one more thing. We're going to be giving away one of FFM's patikim boxes. And inside the patikim boxes, you are going to find some of our all-time favorite curated items that are made by small business owners and artisans from all over the world. So the question for this, and again, let us know, first person to type in their answer into the chat box is going to win. What is the website of the Filipino Food Movement? Whoever can type this in first, what is the website of the Filipino Food Movement? If you can type that and let us know, you are going to be winning a patikim box from our board. You're going to love it. We actually, no typing, Al Mike says, you're actually going to love it. You know, Rob Vasquez, yay, you win. Great typer. In this box, you're going to find some of my favorite things, like sauces that are made by the Sarap Shop. There is also peanuts made by Filipino style peanuts that's made by a maker out in Washington State. There are a few Mamacita products like their champurrado, which is so good. And, you know, locally as well, we have this little chili sauce that's made by a company called Antonix. And that is literally something that you can put on anything, and it's so good. So anyway, thank you again so much for joining us. To all the winners, we also want to say thank you to our sponsors, Acu Global Ventures, Filipino Food Movement, Filipino Food Movement's partner for also the last Savor Filipino Summit. We are also partnered with Ramar Foods. Let me just look up the list so I don't miss anything. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Tuk Tuk Box and East West Marketing. We also want to send a super special shout out to our partners over at the Philippine Consulate in Honolulu for helping us put together our second Savor Filipino Summit. And I think, PJ, since you're there, I think it was so perfect to do a partnership with Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii has generations of Filipinos in America that have really made this a haven for our food and kind of like a great landing spot for our culture. And I think that we have so much to thank our Filipinos in Hawaii for, you know, and I'm going to say, like, the number one thing that I'm most thankful for is L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. So anyway, guys, before you hop off, we are inviting you to check out also on that left tab that you have. There's a little button called networking that you can click on. There are a couple things that are happening there, but if you click on that networking button, you are going to automatically be pushed into something that we call speed friending. If you guys want to network and meet new people, every, I think, 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to be matched with someone new. And if you guys actually are interested in exchanging information, you can click something and it's going to send you each other's email addresses and you can connect. This is not speed dating. It is speed friending. But if love does happen here, please let us know. Send us a note at Filipino Food Movement. And the last thing that I want to say is that our sponsors also have booths on the expo. So feel free to, you know, take a look around and see what's going on, watch some videos, get to know different products that are out there. But again, we thank you so much for joining us at this Savor Filipino Summit, Hawaii. And we hope to see you again at the next time. Wherever you are in the world, maraming salamat, mahalo, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your time on Hopin. See you next time, guys.